What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
Why do you tell your kids you love them so much? Stop telling your kids you love them so much. If I was home with these kids all day, I'd go nuts. Are you having sex with him enough? You need to make sure that you have sex with him because men need sex to know that they're loved. Stop bitching and start eating. You look terrible. I only did crystal meth twice because I was tired.
What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
I think I win this one. At my wedding, we were all getting ready, and my mother-in-law looked me dead in the face and said, I really just don't like you because I feel like I should come before you, and he always puts you ahead of me. So we should really fix that.
What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
So technically it was my ex's stepmom, and we were never married, so it really wasn't my mother-in-law, but same thing. We had broken up, and there was this huge trip to go to like Pennsylvania that I obviously was invited on, but I wasn't gonna go because we had just broken up. But my daughter, who was 4 at the time, really wanted to go, and I was like, well, I'm not gonna tell her no, and her dad is more than capable of keeping her. His stepmom called me and tried to guilt trip me into going, saying I was breaking up their little family and that I needed to go. I said, no, that's weird. Sorry, she's fine. She can go, like, with her dad. This bitch. She said it was so inappropriate and that I was trashy for letting my daughter go with her dad, and my dead mom would be disappointed in me.
What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
So what my ex-mother-in-law had told me back in 2017 was that she was actually very happy that I had lost my second baby because I had a miscarriage back then. She raised her hands up to the sky and said that she was thankful to God that I actually had lost it. She was laughing at me. She said it was a well-deserved, that I deserved it all the way, and that was not my ex's kid. Da 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 da. And well, at the end of the day, I don't wish that upon anybody, and that's not something to say, to be honest. And I'm just grateful that I don't have to deal with that anymore because, well, I'm not with my baby daddy anymore because he's the same way as crazy as her. And my daughter doesn't have to go through this or see how I actually would get treated by them. So.
What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
Okay, I'll do this one. So we had to live with my mother-in-law in 2020 because of just everything that happened. And I don't just have one. Let me give you a few. I was also pregnant in 2020. My mother-in-law tried to convince my husband that I cheated on him and that the baby wasn't his. Also tried to convince him that I was lying about my pregnancy and that he should speak to my doctor directly about all the things I was going through because I was just using it as an excuse for attention. She said God had given her dreams and visions of all these things. Our daughter is now almost 10 months old, and she's still convincing people that our daughter is not his. And even when we had a paternity test done just to show her, she told people we faked the results.
What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
This is a good one because there are so many horrible things that she said to me. But the worst is not something she said to me, but something she said about me. So we got into an argument one morning because she was supposed to babysit and she was telling me I needed to call out of work because she changed her mind. And my son heard us and said, "Why are you fighting?" She looked at my 4-year-old and she said, "Because your mother's trying to bully me." That is the worst thing that anybody's ever said to or about me. You don't say stuff like that to a 4-year-old.
What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
You're a stupid, ugly, fat whore, and I want you out of my fucking house.
What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
I have been waiting for this trend. Now, this was my mom's mother-in-law, so my grandmother. But she did her evilness through me, so I feel like I can participate in this trend. When I was a little kid, every summer I would spend 1 week at each of my grandparents' house. When I was 6 years old, the same was true. And I was so excited because I loved my dad's parents because they would let me cuss. I could stay up as late as I wanted, watch whatever I wanted, TV, movie, it didn't matter. I was treated like I was an adult. But when I got home from this visit, my mom knew something was different and something was wrong. I was crying for days and she couldn't figure out why no matter how many times she asked me. Finally, she sat me down and just had it out. I told her that my grandmother had spent the entire week telling me that my mommy was fat. And that at 6 years old, I needed to tell her that she was fat. Because if I didn't, she was gonna die. And then I'd be an orphan because my daddy wouldn't want me anymore. Like if you want a part 2.
What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
When we found out we were pregnant with our son, we went straight over to her house with like a little surprise bag with an outfit and the pregnancy test. And we gave it to her and she opened it. And the first thing she said was, "Who's the dad?" I kind of get why she asked because it has happened in a previous relationship where the kid wasn't his. And he was pretty depressed after finding out. But I just feel like she could have maybe pulled him aside and asked, "Are you sure you're the dad?" or "Are you the dad?" Because she didn't really know me. So, like, a little bit understandable there. But I thought it was a little bit rude and disheartening to say it to someone, me, while I was pregnant and very excited to be with someone that is going to be caring to my children, his or not.
What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
I could fill up hours by answering this question. I'll just tell you about the first time I met her. When my now husband, who was just then my boyfriend in college, took me home to meet his parents for the very first time. She walked me in the house, trapped me in a room, and said, "Virginity is like a present, and nobody wants a used gift. Welcome to our home."
What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
I have been waiting for a stitch like this. Oh my God. Okay, so anybody that knows me in my real life knows that I married into a really fucked up family. Like, yeah, I'm not anymore. I'm divorced now. But holy fuck. My mother-in-law, I've got stories, holy shit. But is at her house one of the million times that I forgave her for the stories I got about her. I don't know, maybe I'll one day share some fucked up stories. But she looked at me and she said, "You are lucky that incest is frowned upon." I was like, what? And at this time, I was like 18, 19. I'm like, no, I would have been 19. I was pregnant with our child. I was like, huh? She's like, yeah. Because if he could sleep with me without being frowned upon, he wouldn't need you.
What's the worst thing your mother-in-law has said to you?
My mother-in-law has said and done so many disrespectful and rude things that I can literally make a series on it. This isn't even the worst thing. Like, she has said worse things to me, but I consider this the worst because at the time I was pregnant. Like, I had literally just met her, and I just had different expectations, you know. I always thought that whoever I got married to, like, me and their mom were gonna have this great mother and daughter-in-law bond. But I just can't. Like, I do not condone behavior like that. I don't care who you are. I do not kiss ass. Like, and I think that's one thing that she hates. But so at the time, like, she decided to come visit or move to Cali. I don't even know. She just told us that she needed somewhere to stay for 2 weeks to a month. And I was like, yeah, sure. Like, that's my man's mom. Like, she should come and stay here with us because that's sad. She doesn't have anywhere to go. Every single day that she was at home and I would eat something, she would make sure to remind me how huge I was and that I needed to stop eating. And literally, I did weigh 210 during the last months of my pregnancy. A lot of it was water retention, and I would tell her that constantly, like, hey, I eat like once or twice a day. Like, it's not the food, it's water retention. And she would know. She said she knew that I have gotten so big because of all the stuff I eat, and I needed to stop because I was gonna stay like that even after my pregnancy. And honestly, it did not matter who was there. She didn't care. She would tell me in front of anyone. front of my parents, in front of anyone. It didn't matter. Like, she had no shame to tell me. And the day of my baby shower, I was already 9 months pregnant. The day of my baby shower, or yeah, 9 months. And I was already super insecure because I was swollen to the max. Like, I was swollen. I had my double chin was like half my neck. Like, it was bad. And I was already extremely insecure, but like I said, a lot of it was water retention that I had. And I came out, it was 6 p.m. I grabbed my plate of food and one cupcake, and I sat down next to my sister-in-law. Then my mother-in-law came and sat down, and I hadn't ate anything at all that day. And the first thing she tells me is, you see, that is why you are so big. She was, and in front of my sister-in-law that I had just met that day, she was like, that is why you are so big. I never, and none of my 8 kids had a stomach and got as big as you, because I used to only eat salad. And if that's not it, earlier that day of the baby shower, it was me, my mom, and her inside the house, and they were just talking, and she decided to bring up my man's ex and how skinny she was, and talk about how she loves skinny girls. And I was pregnant at the time. I was so big, so I knew that she was doing all of that on purpose. And to this day, she still says disrespectful things and then tries to laugh it off.